Okay, so going into this next section here, the 2.3.1, the general shape properties. So uh, just remember, we do have that one sheet document that I'd asked Miss Stevens to print out. I don't know if they did get printed out. You can always use that as a reference, a quick reference, the one sheet. But do remember that is also the digital version, right? So if you click on docs and colors here, you can actually go to all your shapes, and you actually scroll through, and you can see that basically every single shape that's there, it does have those properties listed that can actually be changed out. So if we were to set rectangle equal to a variable, it does have these properties that are within there that can actually be changed out. The left, top, width, height, uh, and it's all explanatory. Now, even though the rectangle does have like a left and top that it's actually preset to, uh, do understand that like with oval, you know how we have a center X and a center Y, you can actually use those type of values within your rectangle too to actually switch it out, to actually change what's actually happening in those shapes itself as well. So, with that being said, just remember that because when we go back to these checkpoints, we can actually show you this. So see that we have these rectangles that are actually being set up. We basically have 150 by 100, three rectangles that are 150 by 100 that are 50% 50% opacity, so you can actually see through them and you can see how they overlap. Because what's going to happen is anytime we press the mouse, that information that's going in those parameters, we're actually going to place them to effectively move the rectangles around accordingly, right? So the rectangles are preset because we're setting these three rect functions to R1, R2, and R3. So initially when we run the code, it gives us those three rectangles right there. But then anytime we press the mouse, it's going to take that information and put it into mouse X and mouse Y, and then supplement it to where now right bottom is actually put into rectangle 1. So the right bottom corner, it actually realigns that rectangle to move it, right? And then center X, center Y of rectangle 2 becomes, that's its center, and then left and top for rectangle 3, that becomes its left and top right there. So anytime we mouse click, it moves it around. So basically we can use those values to affect what's actually happening with those rectangles that are actually been preset into those variables. But since they are variables, we can actually change those positional properties, right? So let's go in that first checkpoint and actually look, and then go, oh, which of the following are not position properties? Okay, so those 6 things that we actually changed there, all 6 of those are all positional properties. So if we look left and top, those are positional. Center X, center Y, those are positional. Right and bottom, those are positional. So it's got to be width and height, which after we submit that, we're good to go. You'll notice that if we run that next part of the code, this is where width and height, they can actually be changed. So anytime we click that mouse, it does take that mouse X and mouse Y values, and it actually changes the properties of width and height of our rectangle command that we've assigned to variable R. So anytime we use this this R dot width, this is actually how we can assign a new value to the width of our rectangle R, as well as positional stuff. You can do that too, and like R2 dot center X, R2 dot center Y, we're basically changing that center point of R2 when we actually run this on mouse press little function there by clicking the button. Now there are some alignment properties. Now with the alignment properties, you do have the nine parts of alignment that you can actually do. So you can actually align all these rectangles. Well, you can basically align to 9 different points, right? You can do left top, right, center, left bottom, and right bottom. But do understand, like if we're looking here at this area right here, on an on mouse press, they're trying to change the alignment from center to top. Let's see what happens. We can't do that because it's telling us over here you can't get or set the align property. So basically, whenever we do the on mouse press and that function runs, it's not going to retrieve the information from our assigned rectangle R to actually be able to affect the alignment. Okay, so if we go to this checkpoint, go into the checkpoint. Remember, we can't get or set the align property. So let's select that, submit that, and we're good to go. So we also have fill and border properties, right? So looking at the fill and border properties, we're looking at this here and everything, and we do an on mouse press, and if we do this on mouse press, the fill's supposed to change to navy, border is supposed to change to gold, border width 10, dashes. So let's see what happens. Oh, so when we click it, it does actually change the values of our fill, of our border. It actually changes our dashes, and it basically changes all these properties here. So all these fill and border properties actually get switched out as soon as we do that on mouse click. So let's look at this checkpoint, and it says, which of the following are not fill and border properties? So obviously fill and border is fill and border properties, right? Border width is a border property, so that one's obviously a border property. Opacity is a fill property. Dashes is a border property. So the only ones that are left are gradient and RGB. Okay, so we submit that. So next, they're talking about other properties, right? So other properties, we have a few extra ones. We have the rotate angle, and this is how we can actually kind of change the direction, the navigational direction that a shape like points or various things like that, right? So if we run this script, we see that our on mouse clicks, what's actually happening anytime we click the mouse, we're going to change the visibility of R to false. So basically, we're going to just take rectangle 1 away. We're getting rid of it. We're just not going to make it visible anymore. And then we're going to slowly but surely rotate rectangle 2 clockwise. We're going to rotate rectangle 3 counterclockwise. And we're doing that by 10. So, yep, we can just keep on rotating, and we'll basically rotate them back, but the red one's going to go away, right? So you click, and yes, the red one goes away. You click, and then basically 9 clicks should give us 90 degrees. So anytime we click 9 times, we're going to be back to the point, to the initial point. Okay, so let's check our checkpoint here. So, which of the rectangles turns counterclockwise when you click the mouse of the previous example? So counterclockwise is opposite a clock, like the direction of a clock. So our green one is turning counterclockwise. So next, so anytime in Python code, there is a simpler way we can do iterations. So looking back at this one right here, you see how we took the property of rectangle2 rotate angle equals rectangle2 rotate angle plus 10. So we're basically adding 10 every time we click the mouse button, or we're subtracting 10 from the rotation angle of rectangle 3 anytime we click the mouse button. And that is kind of what's called an iteration. So there is another way to actually do iteration in Python, just kind of a different way to do it, to where we can actually do it like this, to where we are adding 10 every time we click the mouse button to the center X. So if we open this up and look, so rectangle 1, we're going to be adding to X, and then rectangle 2, we're going to be adding to the Y. So we're going to be subtracting from the Y. So if we're subtracting from the Y, that means rectangle 2, we're going to be moving it up, and then we're adding to rectangle 1's X, so we're going to be moving it to the right. It should be, yeah. If I'm thinking that correctly, should be moving it to the right. So click, and sure enough. So rectangle 2 is going up, and rectangle 1 is going to the right. And we keep on clicking, and it goes off the map. So we can reset it, do it again. But let's go to this last checkpoint and see what this tells us. So looking at this, in the previous example, what happens if we change this line? So if we change the line from rectangle 1 or R1 dot center X plus equals 10 to R1 dot center X minus equals 10. So instead of adding 10 each mouse click, we're going to be subtracting 10 each mouse click. So instead of it going right, it's going to go left, right? So let's look at this, and we have the gold rectangle will move to the left. Yep, right there. Submit. Continue. Good to go. And that completes the 2.3.1 section. So now on to the 2.3.2 section checkpoints.